The India-China border issue is heating up. Last week, China renamed 11 places in India's Arunachal Pradesh. Today, India's Home Minister Amit Shah landed in the state. An angry China has issued a statement. It calls the visit a violation of China's sovereignty. But why is China so upset? Because India is responding to it in a language that it understands. In the past, India used to play down such tensions. It used to keep avenues for talks open, but China does not play by those rules. So this time, India is making some bold moves. The first provocation came from China. Last week, Beijing released new maps. It renamed 11 places in Arunachal Pradesh. It's an Indian state. The world recognizes it as an Indian state. But Beijing gave Chinese names to 11 places in the state. It kicked off a diplomatic storm. And remember, China is yet to de-escalate from Ladakh. That standoff is far from resolved. Thousands of troops from both India and China remain deployed at the border. And now Beijing has opened another front in Arunachal Pradesh. This is a clear provocation, and India is responding with this. Home Minister Amit Shah is on a 2-day visit to the state. He's launching a new program to develop border villages. And he's highlighting China's expansionist agenda.
कोई भी हमारी सीमा पर आंख उठाकर देख नहीं सकता। और आज हम गर्व के साथ कहते हैं, वो जमाने चले गए जब भारत की भूमि का कोई अतिक्रमण कर सकता था। आज 100 की सुई की नोक जितनी भूमि का भी अतिक्रमण कोई नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि आईटीबीपी और भारतीय सेना यहां पर उपस्थित है।
Obviously, China is upset. It has shot off a statement to New Delhi. Here's what China said about Home Minister Amit Shah's visit. Zangnan is China's territory. The Indian official's visit to Zangnan violates China's territorial sovereignty and is not conducive to the peace and tranquility of the border situation.
Zangnan is China's territory. The Indian official's visit to Zangnan violates China's territorial sovereignty and is not conducive to the peace and tranquility of the border situation. China firmly opposes this.
What is Zangnan? It's China's name for Arunachal Pradesh. That's what they call it, Zangnan or South Tibet. The Indian Home Minister will spend 2 days in the state. The idea is to send a message to China. It cannot go on with its salami slicing tactics. It cannot keep encroaching on Indian land and claiming it as its own. It cannot unilaterally change maps and expect the world to follow them. India is responding by strengthening its own defenses. The border has been tense for almost 3 years now. In this period, India has launched several new initiatives. And the Home Minister will highlight that. Today, he launched the Vibrant Villages program. This was in Kibitu. It's a remote village in Arunachal Pradesh, Kibitu. And why was Kibitu chosen for this? Again, to send a message to China. Remember the new map we told you about? The one where China has renamed 11 places in Arunachal Pradesh? One of those places is near Kibitu. And perhaps that is the reason why this village was chosen for today's event. India wants to convey that these areas remain an inalienable part of India. Now, what is the Vibrant Villages program? It's India's answer to China's Model Villages program. For years now, China has been building a chain of moderately prosperous villages. These are near the LAC, or the line of actual control, which is the de facto border between India and China. These model villages are on the Chinese side. Beijing likes to call them development projects. But essentially, they're bases for China to further its territorial claims. Experts say the Chinese military could use these villages. In the event of a conflict, they'll use this border infrastructure to mobilize men and military equipment. India's project is different, though. India is not an expansionist power. History is proof. India's rise has been peaceful. So this program, the Vibrant Villages program, is said to be a development and connectivity project. It is basically meant to integrate remote areas with the rest of India and improve the quality of life for those living there. Kibitu is just one project. There are almost 3,000 villages in 19 districts that will be developed through this program, 3,000 villages. And these villages will be on the northern borders of Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and Ladakh. So the plan is basically to cover almost the entire line of actual control with China. In the first phase, 662 villages will be covered. This includes 455 villages in Arunachal Pradesh alone. And which are the focus areas? Again, I have a list. Road connectivity, drinking water, electricity, which includes renewable sources like solar and wind power, mobile and internet connectivity, tourist centers, multi-purpose centers, and healthcare infrastructure. India has allocated about $586 million for this project. And that's not all. KB2 is getting 9 micro-hydel projects too. They will provide electricity to border villages. On this visit, Home Minister Amit Shah is also inaugurating security projects. These belong to the ITBP, the Indo-Tibetan Border Police. It is India's first line of defense against China at the border, the ITBP. Earlier this year, New Delhi decided to bolster the ITBP. Close to 9,000 troops will be added to this force. A total of 7 battalions will be raised. And where will these troops be deployed? Reports say they will be sent to 47 new border posts and a dozen staging camps. These will be along the India-China border. So development of remote areas and security are covered. But India's response has a third aspect too, and that is connectivity. In recent years, India has ramped up connectivity projects, especially in Arunachal Pradesh. As of last year, there were 73 road construction projects in the works. This is border infrastructure for the state of Arunachal Pradesh. These roads will enable better access to the LAC, the line of actual control. In 5 years, India has spent around $1.8 billion on roads alone, $1.8 billion. And that's how India is approaching its China challenge, covering all bases and firming up defenses. The only difference is this. Earlier, India preferred to work quietly while China played the wolf warrior. Beijing talks in a loud and confrontational tone and follows up with provocative actions on the border. Home Minister Amit Shah's visit to Arunachal Pradesh is a departure from the past for India. It no longer wants to stay silent. It is making its intentions clear and acting decisively as the dragon breathes fire.